Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just hit that. This afternoon, I'm going to be chatting to Lisa Reeves. Lisa will be logging on in a couple of seconds. What? Where we go? There we are. Press the wrong button. You're kind of used to me pressing the wrong buttons by now, really, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. There we are. Yeah. Lisa's just asking me. Can she just log in? Let me just tell Lisa. Yeah. Here she comes. We ought to perhaps see if we can get some kind of a code going on here, really, for lots of the start of these. There we go. With that, Lisa's here. Okay. Good afternoon, Lisa. Can you hear me okay? Can't quite hear you yet, Lisa. Can we hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, there we go. And then there was light, as the good Lord says. Yeah, I can hear him. I was just telling people who was coming, and I said, you would think perhaps with all of these recordings that we've done by now, I'd have got some kind of code and system and something going on, wouldn't you? Whereas I just sort of rely on, I'm just going to go live in a second, and I'll quickly send you the thumbs up, and boom, it's there, isn't it?
I'm on my mobile this time instead of the laptop, so it's all completely different.
Oh, right, okay. I can see you're in your lovely kitchen, but I'll not steal your thunder. Okay, let's just tell the people who you are.
So I'm Lisa, and I own the Elegant Rose Cake Studio based in Peterborough.
Okay, so is it just Peterborough that you cover, Lisa, or do you go further afield?
I go further afield, so I cover Peterborough, Cambridgeshire, some of Lincolnshire, Rutland. So general rule is an hour included in the price, and anything further than that, then we just negotiate petrol.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, obviously, this video will go out in lots of different places. You know, we'll be putting it in the hub, and we'll put it on the YouTube channel, which I happen to have now, because I've liberated the idea from your good self.
Getting all technical now.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why I've got the YouTube channel, because you are the YouTube channel queen. So as I said, it'll go out to lots of different places, and obviously lots of different couples from not just Cambridgeshire will actually see it. So if someone fell in love with lots of the type of thing that you're actually doing, you know, sort of the cake, would you be prepared to go a little bit further, Lisa, or how far is your limit really?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've actually got a cake in Norfolk way, which is nearly 2 hours next year. So basically what we've decided is that they're going to pay petrol further than the hour, and husband and I are going to make a weekend of it. So
well, that's it. It's happy days, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Having, as you know, in a previous life, I used to make wedding cakes, didn't I? And there's nothing guaranteed to make you feel every bump in the road quicker than when you have lots of wedding cake in the back, isn't it?
Well, I actually take all of my cakes separate, so I take all the tiers individual, all the decorations and everything, and allow myself time at the venue, because my worst nightmare is somebody putting out in front of me, I have to break and your cake goes west. So yeah, I literally take everything individual, so I know it's safe, I know it's going to get there, and give myself a good amount of time at the venue to set it all up. Peace of mind for me.
Yeah. So do you actually stack all the tiers and everything up, Lisa, then when you get there?
Yeah, I do all the tiers, stacking and everything, do all the dowels. I dowel each tier before I leave the workroom, but I literally stack everything at the venue so that transporting it is a lot easier then.
It is, isn't it? But obviously more pressure on you then when you get to the venue to sort of get it all stacked up and sort of get it all looking wonderful.
Yes and no. I have had a couple of times when people have been watching me and there's like pressure.
yeah, that's it.
I have my children's train, I have my spirit level and everything with me. So, I've got a bag of tricks that I take with me everywhere I'm going to go and set up. So it just, for me, for peace of mind, I know that it's in one piece when I arrive, rather than, I've heard nightmare stories of poor cake makers losing cakes on delivery.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, I never lost a cake, thank the Lord. Did I age 20 years in the process? I probably suspect I actually did, yeah. Some of these grey hairs that are now coming through because of the corona, I think some of them was probably going back to my sort of cake transporting days. I know what you're talking about when you're talking about dowels and things, but just explain a little bit what that actually means, because some people watching might think, well, what on earth is that all about?
So basically inside the wedding cakes, especially with tiered cakes, there are plastic straw dowels. So it gives the cakes the structure and the stability, basically, so they don't collapse on each other, because they're quite heavy, because I use chocolate ganache underneath my fondant, so it gives you a nice finish, and that's actually a weighty finish, so the tiers themselves, without even building them up, would be very heavy. So the dowels just allows you to put them on top of each other, and gives it the support so they don't sink into each other. So there's all internal structure that you don't see.
Yeah, so therein lies the professional answer. I think, Lisa, we've all sadly seen perhaps cakes sometimes where they haven't been made by someone that's professional, someone knows what they're doing. And I, for one, saw one in a marquee one time, and it was kind of doing this business, and it took me everything not to sort of want to go over and fix the thing and everything. And
it just gives the stability for it, so it doesn't collapse. And also, it's knowing how many dowels to put in, because I've heard of some people that, you know, they've cut into their wedding cake and there's like 1,000,001 dowels in it.
Really?
Obviously, that, as long as they're spread out, and I tend to go with so an 8-inch, I'll go with 7, so that it keeps it nice and stable, so it doesn't collapse.
Yeah, just needs balance, doesn't it? As you say, it's the whole structure of like a 3, 4, and even sort of 5-tier wedding cake. It kind of goes up a bit like a building, doesn't it? And you just need a framework to actually get it sort of in there.
It's far too heavy otherwise to not have any structure internally. It would literally just collapse on itself.
Yeah, and as I said, sadly, I have seen some cakes, and I think we've all sort of seen horror cakes on the internet and all that type of thing, don't you? You know, where maybe it's made with somebody with the best intentions, but maybe not necessarily really sort of knowing what it is that they're doing. So advice is a professional every time.
That is the benefit of having a professional, that we know what we're doing.
Absolutely. Lisa, I can see all your gorgeous cakes behind you. Would you say that you have a particular style, or you know, will you sort of do anything really?
Yeah, I do. My style is very elegant, timeless, and classic. Those are the 3 words that I've been described as. Less is more for me. You won't find like the log type cakes or the wood effect cakes. I don't do like whimsical, so mine are very sort of romantic and elegant.
They certainly are, aren't they? I mean, I've seen a lot of your cakes, and there's lots of lace and sort of beads and really, as you say, very sort of elegant. And I'm a great lover of less is more, because I think sometimes, if you throw too much at it, you can almost make it too busy.
Yeah, I mean, this one, for example, it's just got a big magnolia on the front with some wide leaves, and I think that makes such a statement rather than having it very busy and all over the place. Yeah.
Definitely less is more. What about all the flowers that you've actually got on them?
So they're all handmade sugar flowers. This one and the one on the end, they're all individual wired together flowers. Roses are my signature, hence the name, the Elegant Rose.
Who's in the title?
The flowers. It's a labour of love. I absolutely love making the flowers. They are time consuming, which is obviously affects the price, but I find it very therapeutic.
Again, back to my sort of cake making days, I used to have people sometimes that used to say to me, can I eat them?
Yeah, so technically yes, because they are sugar craft, but they dry absolutely rock hard. So what my girls and my couples tend to do is take them off as a keepsake. They're not going to wilt, they're not going to colour. And if you've got like a memento box, you can keep them in there as long as they're sort of wrapped up in bubble wrap. You can keep them forever. Yeah,
they will actually keep for years and years and years, don't they? I used to say to people, try and keep them out of direct sunlight, because that'll obviously sort of make them fade. And don't drop them.
No,
rock hard.
Very delicate.
Yeah, definitely. You know, so even if you're sort of banging them around too much, isn't it? It's surprising how quickly that they will go rock hard, and then
and I have dropped them before, and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah, if we're going to be very open and honest here, so have I. I've done exactly
that hard work, and you break it and it smashes. It's just, your stone drops.
Yeah, or it's one petal or something. Maybe if you're doing a rose, and you just get it looking fabulous and just get it looking lovely, and you perhaps go to put it somewhere, boom, and then
And obviously that's the side that my couples don't see. Obviously they come for the consultation and then they see their beautiful cake, so they don't see the in between bit.
Is it just roses that you would make, Lisa, or is it any type of flower?
I make all sorts. As I say, this is the magnolia. I've made lilies. I've made orchids, parrot tulips, David Austin roses. So it's all different kinds of sugar flowers.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, obviously, lots sort of like colours and things. Lots of the cakes behind you are very sort of creams and whites and things. So if a couple had a particular colour rose or a particular colour flower or something that they actually wanted, would you be able to do that for them?
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. What I tend to say is if you know a colour you like and you've got a piece of ribbon, then I can match that as much as possible. Although my colours are very pastel-y and, light colours, I can do absolutely anything. It's entirely up to you. These are more to give you like an idea of what you can have. I tend to say to people, look past the colour, look at the design and the flowers, because it can be amended to absolutely any design and any colour.
That's it. You can actually tweak it, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Loving the little lovebirds at the top there, just over your right left shoulder. Yeah. They're seriously cute. Are they sugar ones as well? Can't see.
No, they're wooden, and they actually came all the way from America. So as some people know, I do love my American holidays, and the Americans do cake craft so much better than we do in the UK. And I always find the little bits and pieces. They're actually wooden, and I brought a couple of sets back with me so that people could use them if they wanted.
It's very different, isn't it? You think how sort of cakes. I mean, I don't know whether it's a cultural thing or whether it's just because people see those type of cakes, so that's the type of cake that they want, or whether it's something in us that. But like weddings are very different in America. Cake styles and things are very different as well. Do you think you actually draw from sort of anything? Obviously, because you are a big American fan, aren't you?
Yes. Probably not so much, because a lot of the American wedding cakes are buttercream.
Right, yeah.
Majority of mine are fondant. So, but obviously decoration-wise, it's universal. Cake decoration is universal. You can put, any decoration on a cake. The flavour-wise, red velvet is a very popular flavour in America, and that's now coming over here. And so a lot of my couples are going with that one now.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be one of my other questions about sort of flavours. I mean, back in the day, when I got married, show my age here, Lisa, but it was fruit cake, and if you liked a fruit cake, well, that's what you had, and if you didn't like a fruit cake, well, you didn't have no cake. But yet now, there's
hardly anybody had fruit cake now.
No.
The younger generation just don't like it. I mean, they pretty much go for sponge these days. I probably do 1 or 2 fruit cakes a year, and they're never actually a full tier. What they tend to do is to appease the parents and the grandparents, they'll have a small 6-inch tier. And that's literally just covered in the marzipan and the fondant, and that's with the staff then, and they can cut it up and put it out. So the majority of my couples tend to go for sponges now. Yeah,
it's normally your granny that would say, well, have you not got any proper cake, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'd actually look and think, well, if you haven't got like a little bit of a fruit cake going on there, then it can't be a wedding cake, can it? What sort of flavours are couples asking for, or what sort of flavours can you actually do for them, Lisa?
So my signature flavours are vanilla, lemon, red velvet, chocolate and carrot. That's just the starting point. Majority of my couples tend to choose from that, but a raspberry and white chocolate's a popular flavour at the moment as well. And also I'll say with the carrot cake is a lot of couples tend to have a carrot cake instead of fruit cake, because it's still kind of the savoury sweet, but not as expensive and obviously as heavy as a fruit cake. So carrot cake is a good alternative. Now for me, I don't like cream cheese. For me, that's a swear word.
Is it really?
I don't like to use it. So with my red velvet, I use vanilla buttercream, and with my carrot cake, I use an orange buttercream. Now with the orange buttercream, it brings out all the flavours and the spices and really enhances the sponge cake.
Wow. Didn't know that you didn't like the
Nope.
cream cheese. I'd have to say that's probably my favourite type of cake, carrot cake and cream cheese. I absolutely adore it. I love it.
No.
Do you find that it's sort of like the flavours in cakes goes in sort of, like cake trends, things tend to come and go. Does the flavours come and go, or does it just tend to be that's what I'm having because that's the sort of cake I like?
Pretty much people tend to stick with the 5 universal flavours. We went through a stage where it had to be like Prosecco and champagne and strawberry, or a cherry bakewell and things like that. So you do still get the odd couple that does like the quirky flavours, but the majority of times it is just the standard flavours. But you've got to also bear in mind with the vanilla sponges, you can pretty much have any flavour in the middle. With chocolate, you can have salted caramel. So it isn't just the sponge. You can jazz it up as much as you want, really.
Do they have to have all the tiers the same, Lisa?
No, all of my cakes are on their own individual boards, so if they wanted 3, 4, 5 different flavours, depending on how many tiers they have, they can.
See, that's good then, isn't it? You know, because you know, some people are like one thing and some people are like something else, and you know, that you're able to kind of mix it up a bit, isn't it, really?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. What you know, like what's the process then? If say you're at one of the truly scrumptious wedding shows, because you clearly would be, and a couple come along and they think, I want Lisa to make my cake for me. What's the process?
So the process would be to book them in for a consultation. There is a small charge of £15 for that, but that is redeemable against your wedding cake if you go on to book me. So you'd come to my studio in Peterborough. You'd have the 5 different flavours to try from. You also get a cheeky glass of Prosecco. We go through all the designs. You look through my portfolio and see if there's like you like rose from this, the lace from this, or another. You obviously bring it together to make your individual cake. If you do decide to book with me, it's then a £75 booking fee. Again, that comes off the cost of your wedding cake. That books your slot in, and you're secure. I will say that I only do 1 or 2 wedding cakes a week maximum, because caking is my passion, and I don't want to get to the point where I'm churning out and doing 4 or 5 cakes, and there's just not the passion for it. So securing me earlier is best. From there, you'll then get a cake sketch of what your cake will look like. So, because obviously what you've got in your head and what's down on paper doesn't necessarily go.
Yeah.
And then 8 weeks before the wedding, we have a final meeting, final balance, and then it's the wedding and it's all good to go, and you cut it and eat it. So
do you find then, Lisa, that couples will come and they'll say, you know, they'll have something on their phone, perhaps they've been on Pinterest or something, and you know, I mean, if you're getting married, who hasn't been on Pinterest, isn't it? You know, you've got it all going on there, haven't you? Do people come in and say, that's what I like, or is it the other way, that they might come in and think, do you know what, I don't know what it is that I want, I just want a nice cake?
You get both, basically. You'll come in and people have got absolutely no idea what they want, and obviously then you have to hand hold them through the whole process. They'll look at my designs that, as I say, they're like a bits and put it together to make their cake. But then you do have the couples that are they know what they want, this is what they want, they're here for about 15 minutes and that's it, done, because they know the design. Sometimes they'll have a whole complete design like that they want. Sometimes it's completely different. It also depends on where they're getting married and the time of year that they're getting married, because the trend of the naked cake or the buttercream cake, if you're getting married in a marquee in the middle of August, you can guarantee it's going to be hottest day. That's not good for a buttercream cake. So obviously you have to talk them through the process as well. So
yeah, because I think that's something that you might not necessarily think about, because you would just think, well, I'm getting, as you say, I'm getting married in August, and I'm getting married in a marquee. And that's the sort of cake that I want. And what's the problem with that? Because you probably wouldn't think, well, that clearly wouldn't be an issue, would it? But
yeah, again, that's the point of having a professional. We know what will work and won't work. You don't want to turn up to your wedding, beautiful wedding day, and then there's your cake in a melted mush in a pile in the corner.
Yeah. And again, sadly, I have been to sort of marquee weddings, and it's not good. It's not good at all, because, you know, obviously you have to go and set the cake. I'm not saying that you'd set the cake up at dawn or anything crazy, but it has to be set up in reasonable time. And if it's a hot day, the poor thing just melts and sweats.
Yeah. Obviously, if your venue has air conditioning, then happy days.
yeah. And I suppose that would be something that, if you'd got your heart set on, you know, having a particular cake like that, and you are in a marquee, then that would be one of the questions that you would need to ask.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What about cake stands and that type of thing, Lisa?
So 9 times out of 10, the venue that you have will have a cake stand and a cake knife. Obviously, if you're going to a venue that has outside, you have to bring your outside caterers in. They don't necessarily have them. Now, I can supply the pedestals I've got behind me, and I can charge a higher fee, and as long as I get that back, the stand back, you get that back. The only thing I don't provide is a knife, so that would have to be sought after. Quite honestly, I wouldn't have a clue where you'd get a knife from. But as I say, 9 times out of 10, the venues do have the silver flint, which can look okay. To me, a lot of them are battered, unfortunately, because they've been used so many times. It's been such a shame to have a beautiful statement cake and then you've got this silver thing.
Yeah, and it's probably worth, you know, when couples actually go to the venue, you know, for either a sort of a tasting or once it kind of gets a bit serious, just ask, do you mind if I could see it? Don't you think?
Yeah, well, definitely. If it's a venue I've worked at before, then I can show them what it'll look like. Otherwise, like you say, just ask and see what they've got.
Yeah, because I mean, most venues wouldn't mind it, and it possibly could be something that the couple might look at the cake stand and think, oh no, I ain't having my cake on that, isn't it? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but then they can obviously come to you, and then you're able to sort that out for them.
Yeah. So that's what I say. If you're going to have a beautiful cake, you might as well finish it off with a lovely pedestal stand as well, rather than just putting it on one of the silver plinths.
Yeah.
So, you know, as I said, there's no charge to actually hire them. I just charge a £50 holding fee. And as long as I get the cake stand back, they get that back. So at the end of the day, there's no charge for it. And really
so
the cake on.
That would be something that the couple would have to do if they actually sort of had one of your stands, that when they're leaving, like, sort of the venue, they'd have to
they need to bring it back to me rather than leaving out the venue, which is obviously why we charge the holding fee, because unfortunately some of them have gone walkabout.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, if you're travelling, like, I don't know, sort of like an hour away to actually set the cake up, and somebody comes back and doesn't bring back, like, sort of your stand, then it means that you're then having to sort of do all of that extra mileage to actually do it. Yeah.
Well, I also do cupcake towers, which obviously I haven't got any behind me. I used to do that with the cupcake towers stands. I used to go and pick them up at the venue. But it, like you say, it got too much, especially if the drive's like an hour and a half. So I now include those in the price, and then the couple can do with them what they want then, which I found a lot easier. I know a lot of couples are actually liking that, because, you know, if they go on to have parties or an anniversary or a baby, they've got a stand to showcase the cakes. So
Now tell me, do you do sort of other things besides, like, sort of the cakes? Do you do the favours or anything like that if people were interested?
Yep, so as I mentioned, I do wedding cupcake towers. So you can have a tower of, say, 60 cupcakes and a little 2-tier on top. So the 2-tier would be like a little 6 and 4 inch. So you still get the cutting of the cake, obviously then you've got cupcakes underneath as well. I do favour cookies. They're sugar cookies. They can have your name and date on. They can have a thank you, a bride and groom. They can also have little tags as well, so the actor's favour and a face setting. And I also do macarons. Now these are very difficult little things to make, so unfortunately it makes them a lot more expensive than it does for a sugar cookie, but I think for an elegant wedding it really sets them off.
I've seen them. They are really pretty, and I have to say, gone way up in my estimation, because I've had a bash at trying to make them, and mine didn't come out anywhere near as elegant, as beautiful looking as yours. Nowhere near.
They are very tricky to make.
Yeah, definitely, because, you know, just sort of getting the shape of them right, and getting the size.
Getting the little feet on the bottom as well, the little edge on the bottom.
Yeah, but as you say, they can really sort of finish everything off, can't it? You know, if you have, like, sort of your beautiful cake there, and if you incorporated something like that as well, like sort of your place settings, or even like sort of, you know, little gifts or something that you wanted to sort of give people.
Well, if you're paying the money to have a beautiful venue, beautiful decorations, you don't want just a packet of love hearts or a packet of almonds on the table. To have a little box of macaroons in your macarons, I never know what to call them.
No, I never do.
In your colours on the table in a little box. I just think it looks very elegant, very pretty.
It is, and it ties in the whole less is more sort of elegance and classic sort of style, doesn't it, as well? Yeah, okay. And Lisa, you're obviously there in your beautiful kitchen. It kind of goes without saying that you are registered with like sort of all the necessary folks that you actually need to be, and have the necessary insurance.
Yeah, most definitely. I am proud to say I hold 5 stars with Peterborough Council, and I also have I think it's level 2 in the food and hygiene, and that has to be renewed every 3 years. And also the council come out every year to do a check-up to make sure you're still adhering to what you should be. But yes, definitely, that's one of the things I would say is a big thing. Unfortunately, there are a lot of unregistered cake makers and bakers out there, so do make sure that whoever you choose has got the registration. Even go as far to ask them to see it, because you can say absolutely anything, can't you? So, you know, mine's actually on my door on my workroom. As soon as people come in, they can see it on the door.
Yeah, and that is a really good point, actually, Lisa. You should ask to see it, and so that you satisfy yourself that that they're not spinning you yarn, you know, isn't it? Because often
Yeah.
they can say, and you could put all kinds of things on like a website or whatever, but you know, if you actually don't see the thing and you see like sort of it has the date on there, then how do you know, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that aren't registered, which is such a shame.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, I think for like sort of your wedding day, it's such a special day. It would be awful. Well, it'd be awful if you all your guests went down with something unmentionable, sort of getting the cake. Spoil your festivities somewhat, mightn't it, really? You know, if there was sort of like all of that going on. But I think all of that aside, the whole point is to sort of make sure that it's a professional organisation like yourself that, you know, that they're actually doing.
I'm very lucky. A lot of cake makers do actually work out of their home kitchens, but I'm very lucky. I have my own studio at the bottom of my garden, so I can keep it separate from the house. So it allows me to keep it to a very high standard of cleanliness and hygiene.
I mean, obviously at the moment, Lisa, there's all of this nonsense going on with like sort of the COVID business and what have you. Excuse me. But I mean, you are still sort of ploughing on and doing consultations with people, albeit not actually sort of face to face.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm doing at the moment is we can either have a telephone call or we can have a video call. Obviously, people can look at my portfolio online, or I can send them pictures. And then what we're doing is, obviously, once lockdown's lifted later this year, early next year, we'll then get together to go through the tastings. I can send out slices of cake in the post. So it's still doable. It's actually still doable. And although, you know, weddings are a hit and miss for this year, people are still planning for next year and 2022. So, you know, next year is actually getting very busy for me because obviously I had to postpone the couples from this year to next year.
Yeah, I mean, and following on from that, if someone is interested, when's the earliest do you think that they should really be sort of getting in touch with you, Lisa? Bearing in mind next year's going to be a bit, whoa.
I think that's how long's a piece of string. There is no, it's too early. I've had couples book 2 years in advance. I've had couples book 6 months in advance. And I've actually had couples book 6 weeks in advance. It just goes with, if you know who you want the cake maker, book them in. It doesn't matter how far in advance it is. If you want that particular person, book them in. As I say, with myself, I only do 1 or 2 cakes a week. So I get booked up very quickly. And I'd hate for somebody to leave it to the last minute, because a lot of people do think that cake's one of those things you don't have to sort out very soon. They can leave it to, like, you know, 6 months, 3 months before the wedding, and unfortunately that's not the case. A lot of us do get booked up very quickly. So if you know who you want and you know what you want, get them booked in as soon as possible. It only takes a small deposit, booking fee, and then you know you're secure. Even if you don't know what you want, design-wise or flavour-wise, you know, that can all be done later on in a year, 2 years' time. It's more about getting the date booked in and your cake maker booked in, so you know you're secure and you've got that person.
Yeah, you can actually hold the date, can't you? And you can worry about the mechanics. Like, if I said small details, it's not a small detail designing a wedding cake, because if you know what I mean, you can worry about just how to actually sort of end up with the perfect cake that you actually want. But what you, like you said, Lisa, what you really need to concentrate on right from the off is sort of getting the cake maker that you actually want.
Definitely, because a lot of couples will see all their cake makers at a wedding fair majority of the times first off, because that's the majority of the places that I get my bookings from. So you will have spoken to them, you will have had an idea of who you like, personality, that kind of thing, the designs, their flavours, because the majority of us do have tasters when we do wedding fairs. So if you've seen someone you like, then get in contact and get them booked in. It doesn't matter, as I said, if it's 2 years in advance. What I tend to do with my couples that book that far in advance is obviously they pay the booking fee, they're secure. A year later, we'll then have another meeting, and then like 6 months before, we'll have another meeting. So I'm constantly in contact with them, and they all know I'm at the end of either Facebook or an email if they need to ask me any questions.
Yeah, that's it. That's good. That all sounds really clear. Okay, I normally at this point say, give me your one wedding tip, but you've sort of already given us quite a few. So. Do you think that there's any more tips or anything that you would like to sort of, even if it's not necessarily cakey-fied, if it's, you know, just life in general?
Yeah, the only other thing I would say with wedding cake tips is have an idea of your numbers, because we can't give you a quote if you're just saying, I want a 3-tier cake, this design. We need to know what size it is, how many people it's going to cater for, even if you haven't got a rough idea. So they say basically cater for 80% of your guests. If you say you're having 100 guests, then cater for 70 to 80 people. Now, a normal 3-tier cake will feed anywhere between 70 and 100, depending on your venue. Some venues are very generous, some are very stingy, so you get more or less out of it. So that's the one thing we do need to know, at least rough numbers, so we can give you an idea of price.
Yeah, that's right, because I mean, there is no sort of standard 3-tier sort of cake, you know, because everybody's cake's slightly different, you know. Maybe it's a different size, or it's a slightly different design, or it's something. And again, with my sort of wedding cake person's head on back in the day, and I mean it was a very long time ago, people would often say to you, oh, how much is it for that? And it's very difficult, because you know, you're not trying to be awkward or trying to be difficult at all, but there's just so many variables, you know, in there that they're actually looking at, isn't it?
All of my cakes are bespoke to the individual couple. I hardly ever do the same cake twice. It's very rare you'll get somebody say, I want that exact design. I did have somebody come to one of my wedding fairs once and said, love that cake, love it as it is, want that for my wedding.
Really?
Yeah, very rare you get that, and 9 times out of 10 everything is bespoke to the couple. Now, the one thing I won't do is copy someone else's work. So if you give me something you found on Pinterest, I will then tweak that to make it your own design and your own cake, rather than copying someone's actual design.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, because if a cake maker has sort of created this beautiful creation, then he or she doesn't really want half the UK sort of, you know, churning out with like exactly the same cake. Plus the fact, I think you want it to be personal to you, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. You want a bespoke design, you want it to be your cake, so you know it can be tweaked in lots of different ways to make it your individual dream cake, really.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, Lisa. Well, Lisa, normally I would say this video will be going out in the virtual wedding show, but that has just this weekend taken place. But we will be having more virtual wedding shows, but it will be posted out on our Wedding Hub. It will go onto the YouTube channel. Now I've got one, and it will go on the main Truly Scrumptious page, and we'll pop it over on Instagram and everything as well. I will put Lisa's website, and I'll put your email, and we'll put your telephone number in all of like sort of the comments. But Lisa does have sort of quite a high social media presence as well. So what's your Instagram and Facebook? And
very simple. It's just the name of my business, so the Elegant Rose Cake Studio on Instagram. And Facebook. I'm just starting to get to grips with Pinterest, so yeah, it's literally the same on everything. The Elegant Rose Cake Studio.
Okay, and one of the other things to kind of point out as well is Lisa is often to be found live on Facebook. So she will often, every Saturday morning, nearly always on Lisa's page at 11 o'clock. Am I right, Lisa?
Yeah. At the moment, obviously, if weddings go back again, then that will stop, because I will be doing weddings, but trying to just be out there, give them a little bit of a present. So if people want to ask any questions or just want to have a general chat with me, I'm trying to do it at 11 o'clock every Saturday,
Yeah, and obviously Lisa can be found in the Wedding Hub also, and she'll be dipping in and out of there from time to time with like different lives and different updates and just anything that you kind of want to ask, really, if anything sort of cakey related.
Definitely.
Okay, all right, it was lovely chatting to you as always then, Lisa, and I shall see you again.
You will. Thank you. Bye.